Attorney Donna Howard here, and we have Law Kirk Sarah Doyle here. Okay? Please give them your attention.
Morning, everyone. Does anyone remember me coming here last year? Yeah. Okay. And I brought a friend today, and she brought treats from Judge Mayfield, some bookmarks and some pencils and everything that hopefully on your way out she will hand out to you. Today, like Ms. Norris said, today is Constitution Day. Does anyone know what the Constitution is? Yes? Yeah. Without reading this. Never mind? Okay. Yes? Peace treaty. It's sort of like a peace treaty. Yes. It lists rights, that's right. Anything else? It talks about the government. Yeah. It's a document that was created a long time ago. Who knows? Today we celebrate the birthday of the Constitution. Does anyone know how old the Constitution is? You going to answer now? Okay. That's a little too old. How about you? Close. One more guess. Anybody? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Over a century.
It is over. Yes, it's over a century. It's 225 years old today. September 17th, 1787. And basically, the Constitution is our highest law of the land. It kind of sets the foundation from which everything else is built, and all the other rules and laws of our country is established. So a long time ago, 1787, and in the 1700s, the country was, there are new states, there's some, original states, and the people were all kind of arguing about which direction the country should go in. So a bunch of men got together and in Philadelphia and sat together for weeks trying to figure out a good foundation. And basically they came up with what we call the Constitution. And it not only establishes the government, like one of the students said, and the three arms of the government. You older kids know what the three arms of the government are? Yes? Never mind? Yes? You know?
Executive.
Right?
Judicial.
Right? Legislative. Very good. So it set up the three arms of the government, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And it also established some rights. The first set that they came up with were called the Bill of Rights. But what started it all is what's known as the preamble. And it starts out by talking about we the people. So even though it was a long time ago, and it was some older white guys getting together, talking about the foundation of our land, they knew that things were going to change eventually. So they had the foresight to say, we the people, all of us, this is going to help. Okay, so our preamble starts out, we the people. Sarah, if you want to help me hold it. So we talked about 1787. Anybody recognize this guy? Who is it? Very good. I didn't have a picture of Ben Franklin, if you recognize that name. He also helped, and there were a lot of gentlemen in our history that helped put together the Constitution. Once they established the Constitution, they knew, because of all the fighting and things like that, arguing, trying to get to just the basic Constitution, they said, well, this is not a perfect document. So, and I think a good lesson from this is you had men coming from all different states coming together and trying to figure a basic set of rules, right, for our country. And they knew it wasn't perfect. But if they drew their line in the sand and said, well, I want it my way or nothing, they never would have come up with the Constitution. They never would have come up with the Bill of Rights. So it's important, even though we all have different opinions on things sometimes, and we want to stand strong, you argue your position, but sometimes to get to a final goal, it takes compromise. And that's exactly what they did. They did the best they could, came up with the Constitution, and then they said, we know there's going to need to be extra changes. And so a few years after the first Constitution was signed and that first document was put together, they came up with what's called the Bill of Rights. Let's see. And again, they got together, knew that changes would have to be made. The first 10 amendments to the Constitution are what we call the Bill of Rights. The Constitution has also been changed 18 times. There's a total of 27 amendments. So since way back then, and along the way, some of them have taken a long time. One of them allowed black men to vote and have the same rights. So it took them a long time to figure it out. But with the 15th Amendment, they said, you know what, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. Of course, at that time, they still thought women were different than men, so they didn't quite get everything right. But later on, a couple decades later, right, in 1920, women, another amendment, I think it was the 19th Amendment, also were said, you now have a right to vote. If the government and they hadn't established the first Constitution and allowed for changes along the way, I wouldn't be able to be an attorney today. I would have probably not been able to go to school and things like that. So the amendments and the foresight of the framers of the Constitution is really important because it allows for change. It allows, as we learn and grow together as a